Take Flight is the only sports talk show of its kind, taking sports talk to new heights.
One more time, he does it again, back to back for Chaz Colum.
Checking in on all levels of sports, from high school to professional.
And they're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws, caught, Foles, touchdown.
College athletes and coaches stop in and talk X's and O's while sharing stories about the teams.
23 seconds left. Armstrong, and the receiver was out of bounds. He caught it. It's a touchdown, but he stepped out. Was he pushed out? That'll be the question.
Now, we head to the flight crew as we prepare to take flight. Welcome in to Take Flight. Irvin Doman with you guys. We have Connor Luby.
How's it going, Irvin?
Oh, it's going fantastic. We have Christopher Thiem.
What is up, Irvin?
And we have our guest for the day, Jarett Mills. How's it going?
Pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. He is the athletic director here for the Northeast Hawks. And, it's only fitting that we start with some Northeast Hawks sports. So let's talk women's basketball. They are in action today. And I just want to get your thoughts, Jarett, on the way the teams performed throughout the year and what you've seen.
Yeah, women's basketball, no, they're a team that's certainly growing, has a couple good players on the squad for them, able to shoot the ball a little bit, but they just need a little more depth, I think, and, they can hopefully get some defensive going tonight and maybe stop Iowa Western. I know you guys probably went to that Iowa Western game in Council Bluffs, and hopefully we can control the boards a little better and, shoot the ball a little better. I think we're really capable of that. We got some good scores for us, Ashley Hassett and Autumn, and I think if they play to their potential, we could maybe give them a run tonight.
Yeah, speaking of Ashley Hassett, we were doing some pregame stuff because we're calling the game tonight against Iowa Lakes, and she is now first in points per game in the ICCAC with 20.2 points per game, and she leads the conference in total scoring with 485 points on the year. So she's had a fantastic year. What do you guys think about the team so far?
Well, I'll let you go.
Oh, I think they're doing good. They just have to put the pieces together, and they really don't have a lot of depth on that roster. So I think if they put it all together, I think they'll be a great team.
Yeah, especially what we saw when we went out to Iowa Western. That game was really close through the first half of it, and we'll see how the defense stacks up in the game tonight. I think it's going to be a really good contest.
Yeah, I mean, this women's basketball team shows a lot of heart. They've had a lot of battles, a lot of tough, close losses, and they've, scratched and clawed their way into some wins from being down from lots of points in the middle of games, and they've found their way into winning situations. They are 8-16 on the year, and they have a shot to maybe improve that and improve their conference record, which sits at 5-9. Transitioning to some men's basketball, this team has a lot of individual talent, and they play really well, and they're really explosive. And I'm sure, Jarett, you've kind of seen the same thing, and you kind of know these players a little better. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they definitely have athletes. I think Coach Anderson's squad, that's one thing they've always had is individual athletes that come together and play for one main goal, and hopefully they're able to do that tonight against a really good Iowa Western squad. Iowa Western, they just coming down from D1, now they're D2 basketball program, so the recruiting and all that stuff, they get some good recruits, but I think we'll be able to hang with them tonight and give them our best shot.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I've been saying Iowa Lakes. I meant Iowa Western. I don't know if I have or haven't. Sometimes my brain just does that. We played Iowa Lakes in our last game is probably why my brain is on that gear. What have you seen from this team so far throughout the year, Connor?
Yeah, the individual talent is unreal in this squad. You can see it with Saneed Sanusi stepping up. Jared Lopez always just being a solid rock for this squad. Just everyone is just overall pretty balanced. It just sometimes the little things just get to the squad. Like sometimes free throws have been a problem this season, or just some sloppy defense as well. But I mean, this squad, whenever they just step up, I mean, they can make a run in this conference tournament.
Yeah, I think they're very lethal. I think this team is very good. If they put the pieces together, like I said, they have a lot of individual talent. It's the chemistry, I think, most of the time with them. They really don't have a lot of chemistry on this roster, so I believe if they get the chemistry up, they'll they'll be lethal.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you watch this team, they just play, it seems too fast. They have so much explosiveness that they want to go too fast, and they aren't actually going through the flow of their offense. And it's nice to see Sanusi will pull the ball out sometimes, or Alexandre will pull it out and actually set up the offense and flow through it. And when they do that, it's very successful. But sometimes they just get a little too quick on fast breaks, and it's a quick turnover the other direction. And I don't know if you've noticed any of that, Jarett, but that's kind of my thoughts. Otherwise, a lot of talent on this team.
Yeah, and rightfully so, a younger squad out there that mostly is on the floor aside from Decker and Lopez, so you give them the best shot. The cool thing is, those guys come back for another year, another good recruiting class is in the works, so I feel pretty good about the men's basketball team.
Yeah, what do you know about the recruiting class coming up here?
Yeah, a couple local talent and probably some international flair as well, just kind of what Coach Anderson's go-to, if you will. So I think those guys, they'll be able to come in and compete right away, and he's got a long list of athletes that have the potential to play here. So
yeah, I know one of the Suits boys from Humphrey down there is going to come play here. He's tall, he's lengthy, he can play really well, and he was here the other day watching us play. I'm not sure which game that was off the top of my dome, but he was here watching the men's action, and I got a chance to talk to him. Very good kid from Humphrey. So that is probably all for some basketball talk. Now, just like baseball season actually is starting up for us, let's start some baseball talk. What do you think you'll see from this baseball squad?
I mean, this squad looks really strong heading into this season. We saw they're 3-1 on the season already, only dropping the one game off on a walk-off grand slam to Unid, but this squad is going to look so good. The coaches poll, I think they had them 4th heading into the conference, and that's about where I put them, right up in the top half. And I'd expect them to contend for this conference title.
Yeah. So, Jerry, you probably have a bigger insight. I'm not a huge, massive baseball guy, so I wouldn't know as much. But what, obviously the season's about to start here, so I don't really know much about stats or what the players are going to do. But what do you think?
We're heading into the 5th year of the baseball program as a whole at Northeast, and in those 5 years, they've done a lot of great stuff. I mean, 2nd time ever. They went to the World Series in year 2, and in the past couple of years, they've won 35 games or more. That's huge for a junior college baseball team to do. So I like, they went down to Enid down there in Oklahoma. They got 3 out of 4, competed well. Enid is a team that won the whole thing 3 years ago.
Wow.
The year we were there, they won the whole thing. And so Coach Claps likes to start at Enid and finish in Enid because that's where the World Series is every year at David Allen Memorial Ballpark. Beautiful place, beautiful city that they host us really well down there. So, I think you'll be able to see, your first team all-region player, Zane Zelensky, pick it up at shortstop a little bit. He's been hearing from some D1 schools. And obviously you got Matt Dreyer, who's headed to Nebraska. And Preston Tenney, obviously, is our main starter. He pitched 5 innings, punched out 8. That's typical Preston Tenney, a guy that is right about 90-mile-an-hour type guy. So, and he's heading to UNO. So I expect a lot of good things out of this program, and just keep building.
Why do you think we've been able to be so successful so early in the program's, life?
For baseball, I think Coach Clapp built a great foundation. I think he came in here and set expectations really well and recruited well and has good assistants that are able to help him with that. And they identify the players they need and the players they want, and they're able to get them. So
I see. What are your thoughts on the?
Like Jarett said, we have a couple D1 guys coming back, so we're going to be seeing a lot of them this year, and just the program in a whole is insanely good. So much talent on that roster, and I'm excited to watch them and be a part of broadcasts with them. So it'll be a fun year, I think.
Yeah, and
the team.
There's a Christian. I'm not sure what his last name is off the top of my dome, but there's a Christian on the baseball team who is in the media arts program who we could probably utilize for your guys' viewership.
Yeah.
Get an insight on what the baseball team is like and have that fun little aspect of it. So
Christian Carew.
Carew, that is his name. Yep. So he's a media arts student here, and I've talked to him a few times. He seems like a pretty great guy, and I hope that the baseball team has a great season, as I'm sure they will. As they've been here 5 years, is what Jarett said.
That's right, year 5.
They've been absolutely killing it. And now to softball. Okay, so I don't know much about this softball team either. I know Jade a little bit. I know Kinsey McLean a little bit, but I don't know necessarily much other than that. So what are we looking at for softball this year?
I think softball is a team that brought back a good sophomore class from last season. Greta Lindbergh, Jade Cook, Jade Long's the assistant coach. Great group of talent that I think Coach Woodhead can really build off of, and they did that up in Aberdeen. You're able to see some good games up there. So as long as they have the pitching, this is a really tough conference in softball. Just so you guys know, this conference is no joke when it comes to and almost any sport, like for instance. But if you look at the national polls, softball for this conference is really heavy. So I think as long as they're able to compete day in and day out with those teams on the road trips that they go on and hosting a bunch of teams this year at Taha, I think as long as they compete and work hard, they'll be able to pull away some victories.
Awesome. I would love to see it. And speaking of seeing things, you are going to go check them out in Sioux City over the weekend. So what do you expect to see from them when you go down there, or up there, I guess?
I think the squad's going to have a really good performance. It's against Briarcliff and Morningside's JV squads, and it's just another good way to see how this team is looking. And then we have games this coming Tuesday as well against Iowa Western in Tahazuka Park. So that's probably going to be the real setting stone for what to expect with this squad. Watch those games on Tuesday, and you'll really see what to expect for most of the rest of the season. As Jared brought up, this conference is a nasty one. They are strong. I mean, I think it was 4 or 5 are already ranked in the NJCAA polls. So this is going to be a tough year for these guys, and I think getting a win in the conference tournament is going to be a good goal for this team this year.
Yeah, we'll get to Chris's thoughts here in a minute. I want to talk about those games on Tuesday. Those just kind of popped up out of nowhere. How'd that necessarily happen, I guess?
Those were games that were rescheduled from a couple weeks ago, and so they were able to find a date that worked, and we're playing Tuesday.
Okay, that works for me.
There you go.
Spring sports, I tell you what, weather, what have you, it's all, you never know what's going to happen
Exactly.
every week.
Yeah.
So.
I walked into class the other day, and Brian was like, yeah, we're not going to do a newscast on Tuesday because we have softball now. I was like, okay, well, that works for me. But
Yeah.
What do you think you'll see from the softball team?
Like you said, I really don't know much about the softball team, so I'm just excited to experience it and watch it for almost the first time.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's a solid insight. When you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly.
You just got to observe.
I can't guess.
And see what happens. Jarett, do you have a favorite sport? Not just like a Northeast sport, but just a sport in general.
Growing up, I played baseball. I played baseball in college, and I think baseball's always really hung with me. So I like baseball.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, baseball is all right. I never really got into it. I played coach pitch, some t-ball. Did you guys ever play some baseball?
Yep, I
Played
did.
up until high school, just never could make the team in high school. Our team was pretty good.
I mean, I probably, if it wasn't for my back issue, I probably went pro, but I just, I got to take it easy. But no, I wanted to talk a little bit of NFL with you guys while we got Jarett here for a couple more minutes. Obviously, the Super Bowl coming up, and we'll get into our thoughts a little later on in the show. But does Jarett have a prediction?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I got to root for the Bengals. I mean, I just think they're America's team right now. Kind of, you root for the underdog type mindset, but you got to root for your Huskers too. The Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow could have been a Husker for all we know. I mean, his dad just posted a picture with them in Nebraska regalia and all that stuff. So I like the Bengals. I do. Stanley Morgan, they say he's one of the best players on the team, just when it comes to personality and character. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't know, Matt Stafford. Probably a little more veteran experience there, obviously on the defensive side, and maybe a little more weapons. I don't know. Let's go for the Bengals. I don't know.
Yep.
Who's the McPherson, the kicker,
Evan
right?
McPherson.
Yeah. Let's give him a walk-off field goal.
There you go.
How about that?
See, we kind of talked about this on our radio sports show, and I want the Bengals to win. All of us at this table want the Bengals to win. So at least we're on the same page there. But I actually have the Rams winning because I think that's probably the smarter play.
Yeah.
I would be okay. I'd be 100% okay with being wrong on that. But I have Matt Gay kicking a walk-off field goal, 29-27. What do you have, Chris?
I don't know. I just want the Bengals to win. I said by 7. The Bengals were going to win.
Bengals by 7.
And then I think I said 35-32 on the show. So, and I'm and I had the Bengals going over top there.
There you go. So we got 3 Bengals predictions, 1 Rams, and 4 people hoping that the Bengals win. And I want to thank Jarett so much for taking some time out with us and talking all sorts of sports with us. And we really appreciate everything you do for our program and even the sports that we cover. So
Well, thanks you guys. Appreciate it. And
no problem.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Exactly.
All right. This is what we'll do. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back and finish off the rest of the show here. It is Take Flight.
Yes, I'm a smoker. And yes, I'm aware I should quit. I get pressure from everyone I love and everything around me.
Smoking is really, really bad for you.
Yet sometimes that pressure alone is enough to make me want to light up.
At 1-800-QUIT-NOW, we get it. With free coaching services and nicotine gum, patches, or lozenges, we're here for you. No lectures, no judgment. Call us at 1-800-QUIT-NOW today.
Welcome back into Take Flight. Of course, again, we want to thank Jarett Mills, the athletic director here, for stopping by once again. But now let's get into some Nebraska basketball talk. They finally did it. They finally won in the Big Ten.
Thank God.
Did either of you guys get a chance to kind of watch any of it?
I saw bits and pieces of it on Twitter. So I really didn't see all of it, but I saw a little bit of it.
A little bit. How about you, Connor?
Nothing. I just saw the box score. That's it.
That's pretty much what I'm rolling with here. I don't want to be a box score watcher, but that's what I'm going to have to do because, after watching Nebraska basketball, for the past 2 months, I've just become very depressed when I watch them. So it's just better not to,
It's sad.
I'm glad I went to a game in the non-conference and saw them actually get a win.
But,
even in then, I was like, oh, goodness, this team is not looking so hot.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't get how they aren't. I mean, they do have a young team. They brought on one of the biggest 5 stars in Husker basketball history in Bryce McGowens. I don't get how they're not up to par.
Yeah, it's crazy because
I don't get it.
You look at Andy Katz, who's like the big ESPN guy when it comes to college basketball type stuff, and he had us, I think, in preseason, he had us as a 9th seed in the tournament. We aren't making the tournament. No way.
Even close.
And he had us as a 9th seed. I was like, oh man, it's literally like Nebraska football. Oh man, we're gonna do good this year, and then 3 seconds later, you turn around, you look at some scores, and you're like, oh,
but.
This is depressing.
It's one of those things where they said we had one of the best recruiting classes in the country. We had a guy from Japan who's a sharpshooter. We have McGowens, of course, and we have so many other guys that how can we not, hit? How can we not click this year? I mean, we have so much talent on that team.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I don't know. And then I guess the next question is, do we fire Fred Hoiberg? Is that the problem?
I don't think Fred is. Honestly, I think it's just that chemistry. They need to build it more, I believe, is something that needs to happen on this roster for them to succeed.
I mean, that's probably a fair point. You got to have time with your players, but in college it's such a quick turnover, especially within college basketball. If you want to be good, that means you got to get 4 or 5-star recruits, and that means they're going to leave after 1 year because if they're good enough to go to the NBA, they're going to go to the NBA. So I don't know. I think. What are your thoughts on it, Connor?
I'm just kind of looking at the box score, and I don't know. This game was just such a interesting one because Bryce and Trey McGowan combined for 22 points, which is the same as Andres Verge in that whole game.
Wow.
Andres Verge is somehow the step-up leader on this squad, and I thought it was going to go to one of the McGowan brothers, but it did not. Yeah, this team is just struggling all around, all with the you can't find the chemistry building at all. You can see it out on the court. They just look like they're kind of like a pickup team out there some nights where it's just like there is no connection between the players when you're watching them. And the game I went and saw them, I know it was early on in the season, but there wasn't a whole lot of that connection there early on in the season. So I think Hoiberg's probably going to stay. Do I want him to stay? I don't really want him to stay, but is he going to stay maybe 1 or 2 more years? I think that's where Nebraska's going to be heading with the program.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, my thoughts have always been consistent when it comes to firing coaches. It's who can you bring in that will do a better job? And for basketball here, I don't really have an answer for that, I guess.
Exactly.
I just haven't thought about it that hard. Maybe there is someone. I don't think Tyronn Lue would leave the NBA to come here.
No.
I don't know if we were better off with Tim Miles. It literally reminds me of, well, maybe we should have kept Bo Pelini because now we're in a rut in football, or at least we were winning like 9 games in football each year. We were losing big to Wisconsin and Ohio State and teams like that, but we would at least be competitive and make a bowl.
Yeah, we'd be consistent.
But now you got to just hope with Scott Frost that it can kind of build itself back up into that to where you're actually winning against those teams, which is the upside that you didn't have with Pelini.
Battle.
Versus, Tim Miles was very safe. We really didn't make a tournament with him. We played well. We would win about half of our games or so. We were very average.
And we would get big wins on occasion throughout the season. I remember going there when Miles was head coach, and we got a win over a 20th ranked Purdue team at PBA. And that was a big game for the squad, and it built some momentum for this team. And then you ain't going to see any of these games going on right now with any type of momentum building up for the squad.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just the mirror situation, in my opinion, of the way the football program is kind of going through it, where they fired one coach that was, okay to pretty decent, but Pelini was probably a better football coach than Miles was a basketball coach. But,
Exactly.
Pelini just had anger issues. But
and Pelini, his anger issues kind of helped, I guess, the team, because if Pelini got upset, the boys would play harder. And if Pelini wasn't upset, the boys would not really play as...
The boys would find a way to make him upset.
Exactly.
Because they would play bad.
Yeah, and then they would, after he got upset,
then
miracle.
Start playing better, a little
exactly.
better. Yeah, I don't know. But that's just kind of the state of Nebraska men's sports. Congratulations to the women's sports. They are absolutely killing it.
Not wrestling.
Volleyball has been fantastic for years and years and years and years, and we have a great bowling program. And
basketball team stepped up big time this year. That kind of team, they were like shot out of like a rocket ship early on in the season.
Wasn't it like 15 wins or something like that? They
had a lot of wins to start the season. Shout out to Allison Widener, Humphrey St. Fran grad, playing for D1 Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Whitney Brown, she's from
basketball.
Yep, Whitney Brown from Grand Island Northwest. She's playing for the Huskers
playing for him too. So yeah, some local kids out there absolutely doing their best. And I think we'll end Nebraska talk there, unless you guys have anything to add.
17-5 on the season for the women. They've all their losses came in conference play this year. They're 6-5 in conference, which they're sitting behind 5 schools in the conference that are ranked in the top 25 in Michigan State. So I mean, after being kind of just riding a long program for this team, not good, not bad, just being right on the heels of the top contenders right now.
Yeah.
That's super good, and that's almost a tournament. I expect maybe a tournament run. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I don't know. There's always the chance that it doesn't happen, but it's looking pretty good right now with 17-5 on the year.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, and we'll hit a little more college basketball here, and then we'll transition to the next thing. But man, any of you catch that Auburn-Arkansas game?
Nope.
I just saw the highlights of the overtime period and just how Arkansas just kind of went out there and they just kind of put on a show in overtime. They just put Auburn down on their heels and they lit them up, and then the place went nuts. That's what I saw. I saw the court. I saw a picture of the court with all the fans on it, and I'm like, well deserved. And this year has been so weird in college basketball. It feels like no matter who's ranked number 1, they're going to lose. Yeah. They're going to lose to someone that is probably unranked. And it's weird because Duke has lost to, they lost to Virginia the other night. Yep. And when they were number 1 earlier in the year, they lost to Gonzaga, I don't know who exactly they lost to.
I think it was Gonzaga.
They lost to Gonzaga, then Gonzaga ended up losing to someone after they got the number 1. It's like, okay, what is going on? I have never seen a college basketball year quite like this, where like there's no really clear-cut number 1 through the regular season.
Exactly.
Got a big old conveyor belt going on up at the top 5 right now, and it's just kind of whoever can hold on strong. It's kind of feeling like conveyor belt session going on right now. We'll see. Everything resets when it comes conference time, but this regular season has been unreal with the upsets. Yeah, just imagine. I know I said we're done with Nebraska, but Nebraska gets into the Big Ten tournament, obviously, no matter what. As like a 14 seed, wins the whole thing, automatic bid right into the tournament, wins the whole thing. We'd be rolling in there at the number 16 seed and just get our butts whooped. Hey, UMBC, we'll be the next UMBC. We'll be the 16 to beat the 1, but no,
it'll be interesting to have March Madness this year coming up in roughly a little over a month, probably is what we're looking at here until we start filling out brackets rapidly. But
Me and you, last year, we filled out so many brackets. That was funny.
I normally like to fill out 30 because I want to be the first person to ever get a perfect bracket. So I create a couple accounts on ESPN and just.
Oh, I already know I'm not going to win. I already know that I'm not going to get a perfect bracket, so I just make one real one, and then I make all jokes.
All joke ones. Hey, sometimes those joke ones get you pretty close every now and then. It's like, we talked about this on the show the other day.
Oral Roberts,
baby. Beat Ohio State.
Shout
That's
out.
what it was. And it's like someone had a random bracket, had Oral Roberts actually making it to the Sweet 16 or something. It's like, okay, who in their right mind would actually think that?
Me.
I would let me just go on there sometime. I'm just gonna randomly generate the bracket to see which one does the best.
Yeah, I mean, you'll end up with a weird combination of teams. Colgate toothpaste versus Oral Roberts. I think they're the Owls or something, if I remember right. But I don't know. But I'm excited for March Madness when it comes around. And, who knows? Maybe the Huskers will turn it around and find a way.
What? That is not going to happen. What?
Yeah,
What?
I don't think.
What?
What?
What? No, so moving on, the NBA trade deadline is heating up. Obviously, the big trade of the day is James Harden and Paul Millsap are on their way to Philadelphia.
Sad.
And the Nets are going to get Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. What are your guys' thoughts of that?
Is Ben Simmons going to come back?
Yeah,
Literally.
He will.
Who knows?
He will. If he's gone from Philly, he'll come back.
He's already been fined so much money.
He's got to make it back somehow.
Exactly, but he's been fined so much this NBA season. It's funny.
It's kind of I'm looking at the posts of people talking about this. It's kind of the what could have been with the Brooklyn Nets now.
Big
with all
three.
these with the trades going on. It's like, oh, that team was overnight looking like going to be the best team,
The three-headed monster.
in the NBA. But now it's just dismantled in under a year's time. The turnaround on that franchise was just so incredible. And I'm not really a big fan of Ben Simmons, but maybe he can fit in the Nets lineup all right. But time will tell, and we'll see what happens when he gets back out on the court.
Yeah, a couple things to note. What you were talking about and what you kind of mentioned. A lot of people thought this team was going to destroy the NBA. Like, that's 3 of the top roughly 10 players in the NBA on the same team, and they still had some great veteran buyout players that were on the team, LaMarcus Aldridge is there and whatnot. Blake Griffin was there for a little bit, contributing and whatnot. This trio played 16 total games together.
Wow.
That's it. They were on the floor.
13-3 in that time.
Yeah, 16 games, and now it's done.
It's like the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2011 with Russ and Harden and Durant.
I mean, that's a lot of talent, but they hadn't really grown into the players they are today. But it's the same 3-headed type deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely weren't in the positions that they are now. Russ might be worse than he was back then, but
the crybaby.
We don't have to talk about how bad the Lakers are currently doing because I don't want to be sad.
LeBron.
But, obviously, another trade. Kristaps is going to the Wizards, and the Mavs are getting Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, which, isn't a, blockbuster trade by any means, but it definitely is one of note because Luka will now have Davis Bertans, known as the Latvian Laser. He can absolutely shoot from 3. He's got one of those strokes that isn't really recognized by a lot of media out there, but he can shoot the pill. And Spencer Dinwiddie, he showed kind of how he can play really well when he was with the Nets, and now he's going to get an opportunity to be with Luka and kind of play make alongside him.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty good opportunity. We'll see if he can take advantage of it. And he really showed off what he has for ability when he has some pretty solid talent around him in the Nets. So good opportunity for him. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't understand the trade. Like, Porzingis is probably one of the best. Like, big men, I guess. I don't really know if you can count him as a big man, but I like Porzingis. Porzingis is a good player. I just don't like how he is traded.
He's never been the same from what he was from his first couple years. I believe it was an ACL tear that he had. And then after that, he just wasn't the same. He'd have glimpses and flashes of brilliant play, but just never became, back to what he was those first 2 or 3 years when he was with the Knicks. And people were very mad when the Knicks drafted him. And there you go. Now they were really happy, and then they traded him, and, all that fun stuff went down. But I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Obviously, more to come. I believe Montrezl Harrell got traded to the Hornets, so the Wizards dumped him off as well. So the Hornets will now have him with LaMelo Ball, and we'll see how they can do. I believe they still have Scary Terry, if I remember correctly. So we'll see what happens in the NBA world. Trade deadline definitely heated up real quick out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's shot.
When's the deadline, the actual day?
I think it's today. Today at 2, I believe. So it's passed by 30 minutes from when we're recording this. All
those trades are final.
Yeah, all of them are ready to go. Obviously, some of them just have to pass physicals. When it comes to that Ben Simmons trade, I just want to give my thoughts on it before we wrap up the show here. I really, really think it makes the Nets a lot better of a team. I'm not going to lie. Number one, because they get Seth Curry, so that'll help with the shooting, because James Harden, provided some shooting that, Ben Simmons obviously can't provide. But Ben Simmons is such a good defender. I don't like Ben Simmons. I'm with you. Like, no offense, if Ben Simmons is listening by the, God's grace or something, don't hate me. But I find it hard to believe you can be a successful player in the NBA if you cannot shoot a jumper. It doesn't have to be a pretty jumper, but to just not be able to shoot it and not have people respect the way you play is kind of, mid in my opinion. But I do think the defensive, aspect of things definitely helps him. And that's kind of my thoughts on that trade. So, I think we covered everything we needed to cover. Obviously, once again, we had Jarett Mills, athletic director of the Northeast Hawks, come in, visit with us, talk some sports, and then we gave our thoughts. And I guess go Bengals, and we'll see you next time here on Take Flight.